What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? Bert here with Certified T and the Rotten Tony. We are here with the Fresh Sports Hour, as always, every Monday, 1 hour or so. We talk to you about all the hottest sports in the news going on today. Let's go. Welcome in. How y'all doing today?
Pretty good. I'm ready to go.
Let's get it.
All right. Starting off like we normally do with basketball. The Heat and the Celtics. Okay, so the Heat were able to steal Game 3 in Boston. So who has the momentum going forward in Game 4 here, and what's the biggest adjustment needed to ensure victory for each team?
So, I mean, it's kind of like a double-sided question because, like, obviously the momentum is on the Heat. They're up 2-1. They just lost a game at home, so technically they lost home field advantage right there. To come back and win back on the road to regain home court. Sorry, I said field. TikTok, don't get at me. So the home court advantage, like, they finally took that back over in Game 3. So they got to be riding a cloud right now going into Game 4, assuming they can win one more in Boston and go home up 3-1 with a chance to close it out. So obviously their momentum going into Game 4 is the biggest, but the Celtics are the hungriest. And like what wins game isn't necessarily momentum; it's who's got the bigger dog in the fight. And I'm not counting out what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to be able to do when they're hungry. And these boys got to come out hungry today. It's a must-win situation for Boston. I obviously have the Celtics winning tonight because I have the Celtics winning the whole thing. So I'm going to continue to stick with that. But the Celtics win tonight. They come out. The biggest thing that they need to do to ensure victory is they can't let that defense from Miami from 2 nights ago be there tonight. They have to be able to penetrate that defense. They were not able to penetrate that defense. They looked like they were trying to be the Harlem Globetrotters out there trying to pass the ball, just chucking the ball all around the court. It was the weirdest game of basketball I've ever seen the Celtics play. But I got the Celtics coming out and winning tonight. Key to victory is making sure you blow up that defense.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one because, like you said, like the momentum would normally go to the team who just won. But you have 2 games, obviously, in Boston. That Boston crowd is pretty wild, and especially coming off a loss. They're about to see their team leave for a few days. And, like, they've outplayed the Heat, which I think, like, from a momentum standpoint and just, like, what you're saying when you're in the locker room, when you're at practice, when you're in walkthroughs, like, you can sit there and feel confident in the fact that, like, you have outplayed this team, and there are just some things that have gone the wrong way. So I actually think that the Celtics do have the momentum in the sense that
I heard an interesting status about speaking into, like, outplaying.
Yeah.
The Heat have only won 2 quarters this entire series.
Yeah, it's wild. And here's the thing, like, it only takes 2 like to get you a victory, but from a momentum standpoint, like, you've outplayed them for the vast majority of the series, and like you're at home again. And things went really poorly with Jason Tatum, and just, obviously just some weird things happening. Jaylen Brown turning over the ball a little more than usual, things like that. But like, you're at home, coming off a loss, about to leave, until obviously Game 6 that happens. Game 5 that happens back here. So I think the crowd's going to be behind them. I think they feel confident going in. So I actually think the Celtics have the momentum.
Well, it certainly helps that they had a 26-point comeback and almost was able to win that game. That might give them a little bit of spark and hope, but
yeah, and I think the key to victory, if I'm the Celtics, it's get the hell away from Victor Oladipo, because although he's not able to do all of the things offensively that he used to be able to do pre all of those injuries, he still showed that defensively, which is the scariest part of him. Like, he was a rip god. Like, he would pick your pocket back in the day and then take off on a fast break the other way.
We still see it now.
Yeah, and he did it multiple times to Jaylen Brown, once back-to-back on Jaylen Brown, and he did it to Jason Tatum.
Can I tell you how much I hate Kyle Lowry? Is there a call he does like?
No, there's not.
That man complains more than Draymond Green.
Yeah, so I actually, obviously we have a structure here and we want to stick to the show, but that was one thing that, and I think I had messaged you during the game, actually might have been during the Warriors game, that I'm not super fond of this during this series, is I'm not having as much fun as I thought I would have, in terms of both teams playing with joy. And I think Kyle Lowry coming back was a part of that. Like all the complaining to the refs. I've had issues with the Celtics complaining a little too much and not necessarily having fun. We see complaining in the other series, right? You have Draymond, you have all of this stuff, but they're having fun with each other. Like Luka hit a 3
and did the little shimmy
and did the Steph Curry shimmy. Like you had
the Antoine Walker shimmy, but
I mean, yes. Okay,
let's not forget who did it first.
Okay,
I know that Curry's better, but it doesn't matter.
That's true. I'll give you that.
Okay,
I'll
respect
give you that.
the OGs.
And actually Antoine probably did it better than Curry does it. So, but you had an instance where like Draymond was heated, and at one point Luka fell to the ground, and Draymond helped him up, like on his way back up the court, and so like those guys are having fun.
It's funny you say that because as a Celtics fan, obviously I thought this was going to be a great series, and I'd like to watch this series as much as I would, like the Bucks series, like the Nets series. It was must watch basketball.
Say
wow,
that
that's
3
too
fast.
Yeah, those are a
He got
couple
there.
words that don't work too well. So if you get some must watch basketball like the Brooklyn and the Nets, the Nets and the Milwaukee series, I thought this series was going to be a lot of the same, and it's not. Like it's not fun basketball to watch really, and I absolutely love what the Warriors and Dallas series. I forced myself to stay awake to watch most of that game last night because of how fun that series is. It might end up being a 4-0 sweep or a gentleman's sweep, but like that series is super fun to watch, unlike the Celtics and the Heat, where I just feel like one team's playing phenomenal basketball and the other team's not during stretches of the game.
Yeah, and neither team is playing with joy. And I think some of that, like we say it and it sounds cliche, but like you can really feel that sometimes. And I would like to see, and honestly, I think that's probably one of the keys for that Heat team, if they're going to win this series, is to get back to, like, they're a hard-nosed team, but like they have a bunch of jokesters between Bam, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler. Like when they play with joy, they're super fun to watch.
Speaking of Tyler
Hero, out for Game 4. Is this a big deal?
Not a big deal.
Yeah, so the numbers would tell you that it's not a big deal, right? Like he's playing 6-man minutes. He's not playing well. I think he has like maybe 9 assists and like 6 turnovers or something like that on the series, through 3 games. So he's not playing well, but what he can do for them from a spacing and just ball handling standpoint is important. So I do think it's a big deal, but I think it becomes a bigger deal depending on the health of Jimmy Butler or Kyle Lowry. Those guys handle the playmaking duties, even though they have the 2 undrafted kids in the backcourt starting. Like when Tyler Hero comes into the game, you have to defend him a certain way on the pick and roll. So
My
that's why
man
I think it's a big
is
deal.
minus 26 plus minus on the series right now. He's only played 23 minutes a game. In one of those games, he was out for a whole half, or it was out for a whole half or a quarter.
I think he was out for the half.
Whole half. Yeah. Minus 26. Not a big story. The Heat are so deep that they won't really miss him. I know Victor Oladipo can't shoot like Tyler Hero. I know Kyle Lowry can't shoot like Tyler Hero. I know these young kids can't shoot like Tyler Hero. But Tyler Hero's a 6th man of the year for a reason. 6th man, he comes off the bench. But their bench is so deep that it's not going to be necessarily that much of a problem. It might actually be better because there'll be less shots taken, less crazier shots taken. Like, he had a shot yesterday that should have been a stand-up 3-point shooter. Should have been a catch and shoot. But he wanted to beat Tyler Hero, catch it on the drift on that little floater to the side, and missed it. Yeah. It was a wide-open bucket that most of those young cats will knock down because it was a wide-open catch and shoot. But Tyler Hero likes to make it a little extra fancy. And that's why he's minus 26 on the plus-minus this season.
Okay, so speaking of injury...
Not a big deal. Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. I agree with Bird. I don't think it's a big deal at all. There's a lot of intangibles. Yeah, go ahead and use that word. But whatever. He's been nothing. But speaking of injuries in general, it has been a massive part of the Celtics Heat series. And what do you think which player's health has changed the course of the series, in your opinion?
Most people would say Marcus Smart. The reason that you have to go with Robert Williams is because what you saw Bam Adebayo do in Game 3 that you did not see him do in Game 2. The only difference was Robert Williams. Robert Williams gives them a size matchup, a strength matchup, kind of same game type matchup. Obviously, Bam Adebayo is a lot more advanced offensively, but Robert Williams is a lot more advanced defensively. So Robert Williams is the key to the Celtics' success right now. He is the absolute key to their success because he can stop Bam Adebayo. And if you cannot stop Bam Adebayo, you do not win this series. I know Grant Williams can do a good job, but Bam Adebayo is good enough offensively that he can pull up and shoot over him.
Yeah, and Chris Rizzo agrees with you.
What up, Chris?
I'm gonna go Victor Oladipo. And I think if you saw him play, we all know why, right? Like those guys are a matchup nightmare between Tatum and Brown, and there aren't many teams in the league who can stick them because it's a different brand of basketball. Like they have the physical advantage every time down the court, and they still do with Victor Oladipo. The difference is if Victor Oladipo can be himself defensively, then he gives you fits. He gets into you. He doesn't foul a whole bunch. And so if he can take one of those guys out of the game, the Celtics are a completely different team. I wanted to go with Bam Adebayo, where obviously it's tough. But
you skipped a question. Rookie mistake.
Yeah,
we're on number 3. You're supposed to be picking injuries right now.
Yeah, so like Victor Oladipo, if he can be him,
what a rookie mistake!
Then he can. then he can.
Hey, it happens.
Then he can get one of those guys under control and really facilitate that team's defense with Jimmy Butler out. Now, if Jimmy Butler is injured, that's a tough one, right? Because Jimmy Butler not only is the catalyst for what you do defensively with taking on one of those, and you can't play them together. But,
does anybody know what Teddy's answer is yet?
It's Victor Oladipo.
He's hurt?
No. He has been hurt. So he's back and forth. You can't play him big minutes. He came back from the quad injury. But Jimmy Butler, you can't play them both at the same time.
Now I'm back on your side. Now I see where you went with this. You
so
threw
it's
me
one
for
or
a
the
curveball. I went in the cacad, and then you threw me for a curveball on question 3, and I think he's on question 4 right now. I don't even know what question 5 means. I'm in trouble.
No, so I did switch my answer.
This is going to be a long show.
So if he can play while Jimmy Butler is hurt, then I think we're good. But once Victor Oladipo,
I'm not the only one that could con.
Oh, did I mention Bam being injured?
No, it was just the way that we were talking and the way you brought Bam into it to talk about the others. It just really sounded like you were talking about Bam being hurt.
You know what? That's
Jimmy
my bad.
being hurt. Victor
Oladipo
that's
my bad.
Hurt.
Let's do this. Let's move on.
There are a lot of injuries.
Let's move on and get everybody back on the same
we'll
page.
Skip to the next
Bert gets the Tony Rotten clap for sure on this one.
We'll give him this one.
So now that we let Teddy talk in circles for a minute there, let's talk about of the remaining teams in the playoffs, not just the Heat and Celtics. Outside of the superstars, so outside of your Tatums and your Doncic's, who is the next biggest guy on that team in a key or a guarantee to their success?
So if we want to start with the Mavericks,
I like that
Warriors
start.
Series,
okay.
It's really tough not to go Andrew Wiggins because we're seeing a different version of Andrew Wiggins where I didn't think that it was going to be him. I confused everybody apparently. And myself. I got to go Andrew Wiggins. I thought that Draymond Green was going to be a bigger sort of factor in guarding Luka, and he clearly is not. They found something in Andrew Wiggins defending Luka. Luka's still going to get his, but I think not only defending him, but being it's giving him energy on the offensive end to go up, crash the boards, get rebounds, and Luka's taking it to the basket a lot, which is allowing Andrew Wiggins to use that height for offensive.
The toughest part in that series is picking anybody on the Warriors.
Yeah,
I could make an argument that their starting 5 are all superstars.
Yeah,
I could also probably add Jordan Poole to the argument at this point in time.
Yeah.
So, it's tough to pick someone from the Warriors. So, I got to go with the Mavericks, and I got to go with a guy that I watched a lot in Game 2 and Game 3, a guy that got a lot of opportunities out of Luka's passes and just really didn't connect. Dorian Finney-Smith can make such a difference. I know everyone wants me to say Jalen Brunson or Spencer Dinwiddie. Did I say it wrong again? Oh, no, it is Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
Or Spencer Dinwiddie. I know you guys want me to say those guys, but it's Dorian Finley-Smith. Like, that dude has so many opportunities in the last couple games that he just hasn't been able to capitalize on. That if he can capitalize and he can hit those wide open shots that he was missing and hit some of those tough layups, like, the Mavericks could get people worried in a game or two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to happen, but they could get people worried if they start hitting their shots.
Here's the thing with the Mavs is I actually think that like Maxi Kleber losing his confidence was a bigger deal because there's one thing that you can sort of depend on, and it's that like the Warriors are going to be undersized most of the time. And Maxi Kleber can do multiple things. He's got great foot speed. He can shoot from the outside, and he can protect the rim pretty well for a mobile big. So I would actually say that him losing his confidence down the stretch last night was the reason why they lost, if I had to come up with one reason.
Okay, so speaking of the Mavs, brass tacks here,
Yeah.
you're the coach of the Mavs, okay? Is there anything you can do here, or is this series done?
I think you can go back to basics. And I think, like, in terms of going back to basics, you do what these guys do best. So you set up at the top of the key, Maxi Kleber, pick and pop, and get your shooters out to the wings. That's all you can do. Now, they've tried to sort of switch things up and get a little cute and stuff like that, and I think it's put some guys out of position where they've tried to have Jalen Brunson attack people and things like that. Just get back to the basics and live with the results. Top of the key, Luka, pick and pop with Kleber, find the open man or drive to the basket, and you live with the results. That's it.
The nice thing about playing the role as the coach in this scenario of the question you asked is they have the most perfect coach
Oh, my goodness.
to be able to take this opportunity and make it a reality.
Yeah.
There is nobody in the NBA that has more heart and more want and more love of this game and knows this game more than Jason Kidd as far as any coach out there. And this is a guy that it hasn't been that long since he was on the Mavericks and won a championship. It wasn't that long ago that he was on the Nets and made those runs. Like, this is a guy that has championship DNA written all over his veins. And this is a guy that can get it done. He has a superstar in Luka Doncic. What I'm telling him, as the coach, I'm playing the role. I'm telling him, listen, I'm Jason Kidd. I've played with the best of the best. I've watched the best of the best. I've seen the best of the best. You are better than all of them.
Yeah.
Go out and show them by beating the greatest team ever assembled in 4 straight games and take over history and cement yourself as the greatest basketball player that anybody has ever seen. It can happen right here, right now. The Luka debate, the Larry Bird debate, the GOAT debate can be over this week, this month. All it has to do is has Jason Kidd tell Luka, and Luka light a fire under that kid's ass and him win 4 straight games. And then all we're hearing about is who's better, LeBron James or Luka.
Yeah, I want to go run through a wall right now.
God damn.
Yeah, like that.
God damn.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was beautiful.
Maybe you're the answer for the Mavericks.
Yeah.
If Jason Kidd had done that, maybe they wouldn't be in this situation. Jeez, you just went Herb Brooks on our asses.
Dude, it was beautiful.
That was a miracle on ice speech.
And yeah, it's 3-0, but like let's admit, like defensively, it hasn't been a problem. Like they've done a good job on the Warriors defensively. Like it's closer than the series looks, and that's the sad part.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that,
Luka just has nothing. I'm sorry, Tony.
No,
Luka
no,
has
you're good.
nothing around him.
No.
The more and more I watch, like, you don't get to see a ton of Dallas games, but the more and more you watch the playoffs, because now you get to see him all the time, the more and more I just feel so bad for him.
all right.
Do you think Mavs need other players to make them unstoppable? Exactly kind of what I was just touching base to. I don't think they need like other superstars to make them unstoppable. I think if they could get the quality of players around Luka, that would be the way to go. I don't think they need to go like 3-headed monster like everybody else is doing. Teddy would be able to speak more into it because he knows the basketball inside and out.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the Porzingis, obviously he was injured, but like that showed you that like you don't always assemble like a team with multiple superstars to get the best out of them, because like Porzingis wanted to put the ball on the floor and get to the rim, where what they needed from him was to play great defense, to rebound, and to hit the open 3. I think they are a little bit of size, a little bit of defensive toughness, and one more like sort of stretch 4 or shooting big to be able to compete. But I don't think the talent is the issue. It's just the right talent.
Awesome.
Love it.
All right, moving on to football, shall we?
Football.
Oh yeah.
Can't get away from it. All right, so we're going to do with that segment that we've been doing, News It or Lose It. I'm going to give you guys a news headline. You tell me if we news it or lose it.
That was nice.
Thank you.
I like that voice.
Right. Thank you.
When you said it.
Appreciate it.
Perfect.
So
You're going to have to put that as a drop later so that way you can just be like, it's the news it or lose it
I
segment.
like that.
You know?
Yeah.
Very nice. So Jadeveon Clowney re-signs with Cleveland for 1 year, $11 million. News it or lose it?
News it. Obviously, they have a great guy on the other side. Jadeveon Clowney, I don't know, maybe 9 sacks or something. He had a great year, whatever it was for his sack numbers, and they're going all in. So I think it's part of their story of like going and getting Deshaun and stuff like that. So I news it.
I have to agree with you about news it, but for other reasons. When you're a defensive player, you sign a 1 year, $11 million contract. You're putting your your livelihood on the line. He could go out and have 0 sacks this season and be offered $6 million next year, where he probably could have signed a 4 or 5 year deal for $40, $50 million, $10, $12, $11 million a year. He's really risking it all signing a 1 year, $11 million deal. I understand why. He's still young. He's still got injuries though. So if I was him, I would have signed a longer-term deal just to solidify my contract and my money a little bit, but that's just me, and that's why I think we news it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. This is, I don't know anything about that situation. A defensive player for $11 million, cool.
Yeah.
This next one, ooh, okay. NFL executives say that they're watching the Lamar contract situation. Ooh, oh, I'm so sick and tired of talking about this. Do we news this or lose it?
You know, part of me wants to news it because I think some team will be dumb enough to pay him $60 million, but I'm going to say lose it because I just don't think that he is actually going anywhere. Like, I think this is all for nothing. I think he just handles his contract situations differently.
News it. The biggest reason behind this news headline is because everybody wants to see how this kid gets it done without an agent. It has nothing to do with the contract. Everyone knows he's staying in Baltimore. Everyone knows he's not going anywhere. Yeah, he might ride out his rookie deal and then have to re-sign next year. It might be crazy. But you news it because everyone wants to see how this plays out. Okay. How good of a deal can he get without an agent? It's the first of his kind. No one's seen anything like it.
So you're just thinking that they're saying that it's interesting.
Hey,
let's watch this because it's interesting. Okay. All right.
The storyline, the bullshit behind Lamar Jackson and what's going on is lose it. It's bullshit. It's stupid. He's staying in Baltimore. He's going to sign a deal. But the no agent thing with signing this type of deal, I think, is news.
All right, you won me over. Damn, okay. All right, that's good. That's good. I like that. All right, so next one. NFL coach and front office accelerator program starts today.
Teddy, before you tell us news it or lose it, can you explain a little about that?
Yeah, so it's a program that was put in place a couple of years ago where basically like Black NFL coaches and minorities said, like, we don't just want coaching jobs. We also want to become executives, front office members, GMs, stuff like that. So they put in a program in place, massive amount of funding. I'm going to go with lose it just because, like, nothing else that they've done has really ever worked, whether it's the Rooney Rule or whatever else it is. So, like, I just don't believe that this is a big deal because I haven't heard anything tangible about it besides the announcement.
You're lucky we're live everywhere because your best friend has a couple comments I'd like to make. Remind me after to make them. It's absolutely news. It's another step in the right direction. I know we talk about right directions and wrong directions all the time and how many wrong directions we got to take before we take a right direction, but it's still another step in the right direction. We're continuing to take steps and corrective measures and trying to help figure out the problem with it. We all know what the problem with it is. I can't say it because we'll get banned on like 6 different platforms, but we all know what the problem with the NFL is and what's going on. So as long as we continue to progress and continue to move forward and continue to make these headlines, the longer we'll get in the process of these older ownerships passing along and eventually hopefully fix the race issue in the NFL.
Okay. So I'm going to give Bert a clap on that one. He won me over on that. I I'm not taking this at face value.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it as, oh, it starts today. That means things are heading in the... Once they show me that this has some legs, then I'll completely come around to it.
Yeah,
But
it's not a
I
negative
don't want
thing.
it,
It is a
What up, Frenchie?
positive.
but I don't want it just out there as something, hey, we'll get to it eventually, okay? You're going to do this, do it.
What up, Frenchie?
Okay.
Just real quick,
Always
Chris Rizzo
bombed.
said, at least it shows the attempt being made. And I think we all agree. I think we just disagree on whether or not it actually is going to come to fruition. That's it.
I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to see that that work out. So, next, are you all right?
No, you're good. I'm dropping.
You have a hole in your pocket?
Yeah, I'm dropping.
Jeez,
everything.
man. All right. So rumors around the NFL, rumors around the NFL are that owners may be looking to get Dan Snyder out of Washington. Yeah.
Before you answer that, Teddy, can you explain a little bit about what's going on in that situation for the viewers at home that aren't privy to the situation?
Oh man, dude, everything. So like whether that has to do with obviously like the name change in Washington and him refusing for a long time made a lot of enemies. Whether it has to do with some of the abuse and harassment allegations that the NFL had a third-party team go in and seek out answers for. There are rumors that he withheld ticket pricing information and like what they were making for ticket revenue away from the rest of the owners, which means their cut is smaller. Their stadium is falling apart. He's probably the worst owner in all of football. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say news it. Only because, not because of any of the other stuff, only because of the ticket stuff. The owners only care. They don't care about all that other stuff. These billionaires don't care. But when you start messing with their money, that's when they have a problem. And you messed with their money, allegedly. I think they're going to come for him and he's going to be out. So I'm going to news it.
Lose it. There needs to be 24 team owners that vote for him to be out in order for that to happen. That means 24 of the 29 eligible teams have to vote, yes, he's gone. Lose it. It's never going to happen. We've had this conversation with other owners before with other shit that's happened in the past. I think the only one that's ever lost his job was the Denver Nuggets guy, right?
Clippers
guy, yeah, that's right. I think he's the only one that ever had anything come out of it. A million people have talked about it. We've talked about it with Jerry Jones. We've talked about it with this one. We've talked about it with that one.
So Chris Rizzo has a really good question here.
like
He says, even if nothing illegal/immoral is done, should owners be allowed to be fired? Are owners not allowed to be fired because they have boards, correct?
Yeah, the issue is that a vote so many things have to happen before they can get fired. So
It's like an impeachment.
Yeah, I believe even after the vote, it goes to executives, right? Like the executive board. Even after like the vote happens, do I think they should? I personally believe that there should be something in place. It's not realistic, but I do believe that if you are a franchise who is not moving in the right direction in order to help the sport progress and increase revenue as a whole, then you should be fired. And if that means immoral practices in your building or whatever it may be, I believe yes.
So it's tough to say yes to that, even though in my heart I believe yes. Owners, obviously, there's some owners out there that should not be owners. There's stuff that happens that there shouldn't be. Blah 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 blah. But there's plenty of owners that shouldn't be owners out there in the professional sports world, not just football. Do I think they should be fired? As a business owner now, I don't see how somebody could fire me. But I don't work in a corporate situation where there's other sports card stores relying on my income to get some of their money in themselves. So it's kind of a double-edged sword from my answer. But looking and seeing what happens out there in the world and what happens out there in the sports world, I believe wholeheartedly in a corporate situation like that, essentially like a franchisee type situation, like. If I was working at Five Guys and I was underperforming at Five Guys and I owned the Five Guys, they'd pull my franchisee from me.
Yeah.
Why can't they do that as a professional sports owner?
Yeah,
all they are is a franchisee, right?
Yeah, it's really tricky. It's almost like they should be removed from their position, but you can't cut them out financially out of what's theirs, right?
Yeah.
So it's a really strange situation. It's an interesting question.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and you could look at it a bunch of different ways. I would say like the immoral stuff is probably the biggest point, and like when you talk about the franchisees, like to your point, Bert, like if you're doing the other owners a disservice, there should be something in place long term, right?
Talking about immoral and moral services brings us right into our next segment.
Yeah. No. Sorry. So this is a situation that I'm not really too familiar with, especially with the whole Nick Saban part. So I'm gonna let you take this, Teddy. This has to do with the NIL program in specifically here in college football. That Nick Saban had some comments about Texas A&M. Do you want to take that?
Yeah. So he made some comments. When he was talking to some reporters just about what's happened with the draft classes and stuff, and the big one that's making headlines was that he said about Texas A&M, everybody on their team made a deal for name, image, and likeness. We didn't buy one player, saying that he recruited properly, and now with the NIL deals, teams, you're not supposed to be allowed to, with the NIL deals, use those in recruiting. And he's saying that that's widely happening now. So
Didn't he say that someone also paid $1 million for someone?
Yeah, he said Jackson State, which Deion Sanders is coaching. He said that.
Oh, that's that school, right?
Yeah. So it's going to make for tough Aflac commercials between the two of them in the future. Yeah, because he said that he got paid $1 million. Deion Sanders probably had the best comeback. He said, "I don't even make $1 million," which was super funny because of all of the talk around Nick Saban and him being against NIL in the beginning, and they looked at him and said, "Well, you make $11 million a year as a coach to coach these guys." So it was a really a cool comeback by Deion, which was really funny.
So I understand what Nick Saban's saying here wholeheartedly. I think the NIL deal was in place to make sure that these kids got money for the extra stuff, not the football stuff. Not the on-field stuff, not the school stuff. You already got a scholarship for most of these guys. All the extra stuff that these guys do is the showing up to booster parties, the showing up to pizza parties for the kids, all the extra, the signings, the pictures, the this, the that. All that extra stuff is what these kids were supposed to be able to make money on. They weren't getting part of ticket sales. They weren't getting part of revenue from the concessions. They weren't getting any of that stuff. This stuff was meant for these kids to make extra money while they're in school, so that way the school can't just profit off of them all and they get nothing.
And certainly not to give incentives for them to be recruited.
Exactly. And that's what this has turned into, and that's why I think it is way, way, way out of control. Because as Nick Saban said, with the prices of oil right now, Texas is loaded with fucking money. They're loaded.
Yeah.
They can pay those boosters care nothing more about those guys. Those big wealthy guys care nothing more about watching Texas A&M win a championship, a national title. That's their best day ever. That's their Super Bowl down in Texas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like for these guys to give $1 million to the school, say, hey, go buy everyone you can. They're gonna go buy everyone they can. So that's why I think it got a little out of control. Yes, I agree. The kids should be getting money. The kids should be getting paid. I believe there should be some type of tier system. This kind of goes off on a quick little tangent. Teddy's never even heard me say this either. So I believe it should be kind of like a tier system. Kind of rank these guys in draft class order. Like, you know how we have the cap now for like 1 through 15, 1 through 20 in the NFL? Cap these guys. Make them 1-star recruits all the way down to 10-star recruits. The 10th-star recruits get paid the most, the 9th, and that's what they get paid. Yeah. You got to do X, Y, and Z while you're getting this money, or else you don't get this money. But if you're a 10-star recruit, you get this. If you're a 5-star recruit, you get this. If you're a 2-star recruit, you get this. This is what you get. This is what you said. No other questions done. It doesn't matter if I have $1 billion in my bank account or not. This is what you get. What happens behind closed doors has been happening behind closed doors forever.
Yeah.
So whatever happens, happens. Like, Nick Saban ain't sitting there, like, in his fucking flower garden like, I've never done anything like this. There's no way that Nick Saban and Alabama haven't paid people incentives prior to this being legal.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of why I have a little bit of a problem with it is because I do believe that every correction is an overcorrection. So I think now with this ability, like, players haven't been able to make anything previously. So now they are. I think Nick Saban is just threatened because, like, nobody had better boosters previously that handled things without getting caught, from what they say, allegedly, than Nick Saban. Like, he had a well-oiled machine there. They also had the best facilities there, which obviously cost the most money. So, like, they were at an unfair recruiting advantage where they were just getting everybody. And because of that, there isn't a whole lot of parity in college sports. Like yes, upsets happen and anybody can win, you know, on any
given Sunday.
Yeah, you know, or in this case, Saturdays or whatever. But like, the problem is that sometimes the best 11 players on the field were all Alabama, and the tide was never going to turn, no pun intended. And now this evens out the playing field from a talent standpoint, where now you are going to get the opportunity to get more good teams in there. And like, I'm all for these kids making as much money as possible, no matter what, as long as they're obviously not doing anything that is immoral. But I believe that because of this, we might get a better brand of football where it's not just Alabama talent level and then everything else.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If any coach is going to come out and make us think about this, Nick Saban?
Yeah. Exactly.
Alabama?
Exactly. Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Moving right along.
Exactly.
Okay. Moving right along. Okay. So QB drama is the subject here, primarily in Cleveland and San Francisco. Teddy, you're asking, is this a good problem to have, or is it just a problem?
Yeah, I think it's a good problem. And people aren't going to necessarily agree with me or like it because Baker Mayfield might cause a stink. But here's the thing, man. Like, you already have character questions. You're getting paid a bunch of money this year. Just do your job, which is show up when optional OTAs and stuff are over, and you're an insurance policy for if Deshaun Watson does get suspended. If he does get suspended by the league, then like, do your job and show up and give your team whatever they have to give you. If you get an opportunity, when Deshaun Watson is suspended, let's say 4 games or 6 games, and you can step in as Baker Mayfield, the tape that you put on at the end of the year was atrocious. This is an opportunity to step into a system that you're already familiar with, put on a few good games, and then increase your trade value and get out of there. But you're getting paid, you're under contract, do your job. And I think for the team, it's a great opportunity because now if Deshaun Watson does get suspended,
how this guy uses that word?
You don't have to go to Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, you would think
he only uses the do your job word when it works convenient in his arguments. When I say do your job, you get paid to be a pro athlete. The kid's having a baby. The baby can get a video.
No, man, you got to show up for the birth of your child.
Listen, it is not a good problem to ever have. We've seen it time in and time again. QB controversy is not the controversy you want to have. You can have running back controversy. You can have wide receiver controversy, defensive back controversy, whatever kind of coach controversy. You can have whatever kind of controversy you want. You cannot have QB drama. We have seen it time in and time again that it is a disaster when it happens. One guy's happy, one guy's sad. The media is talking to this guy. The media is not talking to this guy. This guy's telling that guy to go fuck you, no fuck you, and everybody's fucking each other.
Yeah, what if one guy isn't there? That's the question. What if Deshaun Watson's suspended for 6 games?
What if?
Yeah, so you're putting that team forward that you just invested all of this money into, right, with Jacoby Brissett? Are you comfortable with that?
I'd rather put it into Jacoby Brissett's hand, who has no drama, than put it into the guy's hands that was the starter, that wants to be the starter, and you're gonna let him start for a few games, and then you're gonna take him away and put him Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, what if he struggles for the first 2 games? He hasn't played in 2 years. What happens? Now we get even more controversy. Now we get even more drama. Now Baker Mayfield's heads into all crazy because he was a starter, and then he wasn't the starter. Now he's a starter again. Then he wasn't the starter again. Now he might be the starter again. No, Deshaun Watson got to go in there knowing that he has this job, knowing that he's going to be able to win, knowing that Cleveland put everything they got into this guy's hands, gave him one more chance, and he gets to go out there and show his other chance. He does not want the drama, nor does Cleveland want the drama of having Baker Mayfield and all the bullshit, all the controversy, all the reporters talking to everybody every single day. Who's the quarterback? Who's going to be starting? What's going to happen if Deshaun's out? What's going to happen if he doesn't play well?
Yeah.
No, it's not good. It's not good for an organizational standpoint. It's not good for the quarterbacks. It's not good for anybody.
And I can be swayed on that. I sort of agree with you now hearing your argument behind it. But what I will say is Chris makes a good point. He said it's good to have as long as it's not a true distraction from reaching the end goal.
I don't know. I don't understand how it cannot be a distraction.
Well, this is what front offices and GMs get paid for, right? Like if you're going to
if you're going
to have a quarterback on your roster that you can't even trade for a 5th-round pick right now because his value's so low because he tried to play injured and the tape you put on is the tape you put on. Like, how do you spin this to this kid in order to build his value and help him get to where he wants to get to, but also get something back in the team and win in the meantime? So there's a possible way, and all of it obviously depends on how things work out with Deshaun Watson and the suspension. I think that's a big part.
All right. So, coming from the electricity that is basketball, the brutality that is football, let's talk about golf.
I like it.
What a good weekend it was. Rory McIlroy got off to a great start on Thursday, ended up shitting the bed. Tiger was playing decent, ended up withdrawing. A guy by the name of, what was the hell was his name? Zalatoris?
Yeah.
Will Zalatoris. I never heard of this guy up till today.
Me either.
Ended up shooting, I think it was the -9 on Saturday, which was the best round ever recorded in Oklahoma. What's it called?
The Southern Hills.
Southern Hills. Best round ever recorded there. And then came up just a smidge short. Justin Thomas came back from reality. He's remembered that he was supposed to be a superstar golfer and played like a superstar golfer is supposed to play. And ended up catching up to Zalotis in the 17th hole, I think. They tied the 18th, and then they went on for a playoff round that he ended up beating him by a stroke. What a weekend it was. Thursday and Friday, no one could hit a putt. No one could hit a shot. There was no birdies. There was barely any par. There was a lot of pars. And then Saturday, we had eagles. Sunday, we had eagles. It was the craziest change of weather in 2 days, like from a complete windstorm to like no weather at all, from like +3 being good to -8 being the best. You know what I mean? Like, it was just crazy round of golf, and I really enjoyed it.
And how about that traffic jam on the course, too? Yeah. Weird?
What a crazy course that was.
So weird.
People trying to get on the green that couldn't get on the green. They had to wait for the drives to finish.
When they
Just
showed the
something you
layout.
don't expect to happen in a PGA event.
Yeah,
you
it was
you
kinda
expect
weird.
that to happen when you're playing your Sunday round. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a weird course when they showed the visual of it. It was weird. I didn't actually see how any of it went down because I was so sort of disheartened, I guess is the best word, by watching Tiger and just the struggle physically on his face and just seeing the pain that he was in and his inability to hide the pain, which obviously meant that it was pretty damn bad.
He didn't hide it perfectly. We saw some of it, and it was a sad sight to see. Growing up, absolutely idolizing Tiger and loving Tiger. Now that I'm like such a fanatic at the golf game itself, the more and more I watch Tiger, the more and more I realize that there'll never be anything quite like it. And I know how much of a competitive spirit he has, it saddens me to say it, but I feel like Tiger should probably just hang it up. He probably shouldn't golf no more because the competitor in him is never going to make him stop. And that's why I give him a lot of credit for finishing that round Saturday. He had 2 swings, one that took him to the knees, another swing in the sand trap that you saw the grimace, you saw the pain, you saw the agony coming down. And it's just sad to see. And you know the true competitiveness, the true Tiger in him, pun intended, like will not let him stop once he's committed to playing. And that's why I unfortunately think Tiger should probably hang up the old golf cleats, sit back, maybe coach, maybe tutor, maybe just hang out and
but
sleep with some Will 80s again.
I mean, how do you make that be satisfying for you after what you've been able? I mean, we're talking about a guy who has pulled out of a PGA event 3 times in his career. That's it. Yeah. Once as an amateur, by the way, and twice as a professional, this past one being one, and then in 2019, he pulled out after a 75. He shot a 75 for his back. So, I mean, just a crazy, fierce competitor, man. And it sucks, but, maybe we just harp back to what we enjoyed about him and are thankful that we were able to see him do what he did.
Yeah, for sure, because we're never going to see something like that.
Well, we're
never going to see the Tiger Slam again.
Yeah, because there are 2 routes that he could go, right? 2 options. Is one, he can continue trying to be Tiger, right? And his power game, whatever it is, he can continue that. Or he could change his game. And I think you're probably, Bert, the best one to explain like how Tiger, if you were his coach, would tell him to change his game in order to remain competitive, which I assume would be like a safer game. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Tiger's still trying to play like Tiger. If Tiger sat back and just played his shots, played what he knew his power could do, he could compete. I still don't think with this day and age and the way the guys hit the ball nowadays, and the technology behind how they hit the ball. I mean, Bryson DeChambeau drives the ball, 400 yards sometimes?
Yeah.
Like, Tiger's never going to be able to do that. So Tiger's never going to really able to be super competitive, but he'll be competitive enough that if he can just hone in on what made him great, and that was his putting in his short game, and he just takes it easy on the long game, I think he can be competitive again. Chris brings up a phenomenal point. He said, like helping his son and trying to mentor his son and coach his son up and like to be the next Tiger could be enough satisfaction for him. And I hope that could be true, and I would love to see that. I would love to
enjoy being a father a little bit.
I would love to watch that happen.
Yeah.
Before we hop into baseball and get Robin here, gonna bring up two quick little things. NHL. NHL's is heating up. There's 3-2-1 series, 1-3-0 series. That looks to be over. Panthers are probably done. Avalanche, the favorite to win it all, are down 2-1, right? Oh, up
3-1. They're down 3-1.
Are they, or is it
this is Colorado's leads 2-1. This is up.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Colorado
shit.
leads. Yeah,
you know what I was looking at? I was looking at the seats.
Colorado leads 2-1.
I was looking at the seeds. My fault.
Edmonton, my sneak pick is leading 2-1 as well.
Which
so
doesn't bode well for me.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to see the rest of NHL and the way that the hockey game goes. Just really excited to see what happens. I hope it's as exciting of a series as a round as it was in round one.
Yeah, and I think we might be headed that direction. And, I hope Calgary gets it, turned around so that the guy who knows nothing about hockey can be correct.
And then last but not least that I have is we don't have much on the UFC topic today, but we want to talk about this new Combat FC. If you are in New England and around New England and like MMA, this upcoming June 17th at the Shriners Auditorium, we are going to be ringside. Well, it would be tableside/ringside at the Combat FC's first fight. It will be live televised on UFC Fight Pass. Make sure you download your Fight Pass if you cannot make it. If you'd like to make it, the tickets are in our link tree in our bio. See you guys all soon. Responsible Rob coming in for the baseball recap and a little bit of F1. Bert's going to go get some work done before we close shop up at 7. See y'all next time. Bert out.
Later, bro.
Later, Gator.
Thank you very much, and welcome in. Sorry?
Oh, no, we're putting Responsible Rob in Bert's seat today.
Give me 1 second, let me move.
So he gets the hot hand seat.
Well, welcome in,
it's front and center.
Responsible Rob. Welcome. Rob,
How's it going?
talk baseball to me, Rob.
Yeah, talk baseball.
Oh, is that what you like?
In
now?
that sweet, sultry voice that you do so well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He tries.
Oh, and
I
just
try.
so you know, if I drop many things out of my pocket, don't worry. Go ahead. Continue.
Just talk through it?
Yes.
All right,
absolutely.
you got it. It was an interesting week in baseball. Not a ton going on. We're settling into the season. The novelty of opening day has worn off. We're finally up and going. I'm going to sound like a broken record because I've said it, I think, 3 weeks in a row now, maybe 4. This year is the year of the veteran.
Year of the vet.
Year of the veteran.
What happened?
Yadier Molina made his first ever pitching appearance. Last week it was Albert Pujols.
Oh
This
my
week it's
God.
Yadier Molina.
Yes.
The St. Louis Cardinals are just having fun with this, and I am absolutely 100% all in all, through and through, here for it.
It's crazy, man. It's like everybody's getting in on this train now.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. He did give up 4 runs, but that doesn't matter. This is what baseball needs. Guys just out there having fun. Yadier Molina has been in the league as long as I can remember. And he's just out there throwing 65-mile-an-hour fastballs and getting shelled. But you know what? They went into the inning up 18-0, so why not?
I'm surprised he got it up to 65.
Right?
No, that's not the...
Not even, I know it's nothing, but
His
still.
throws down to second have been clocked at 90.
Yeah, from his knees.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how he knows how to throw.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that's a lot. So wait, so really quick, just to cut you off, you said fun and baseball in the same sentence.
This year baseball is fun.
Yeah, and I
It's
heard
not always, but this year it is.
and I heard something that I didn't know if you wanted to touch on really quick about something that happened over this last week with bringing fun to baseball from our new Jackie Robinson.
I was going to touch on that, but before I do, I want to extend a congratulations to the number one top prospect in baseball, Adley Rutschman for the Baltimore Orioles. Got called up this weekend, made his major league debut at catcher, and got his first hit as well. Picked up a triple.
This is the kid that everybody's been.
This is the
touting,
kid
like,
that
the guy.
everybody's
he's
been
the
talking
guy,
about.
yeah.
He was the number one draft pick a few years ago. They've been talking about his hitting ability, his catching ability. He's mobile. He's agile. He's got a great eye at the plate. So I'm glad that we're getting to see him in the big leagues now. Congratulations to you, Adley. I hope you have a long and storied career in the major leagues.
Can we get him a clap?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
let's give him a
sorry. Oh,
clap.
Adley.
Oh yeah.
Adley, you sure caught that ball.
And then he hit one, too.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so regarding the whole new Jackie Robinson thing,
Yeah, what's this?
it stems from Josh Donaldson and a comment that Tim Anderson originally made in an interview with Sports Illustrated back in 2019. And I want to read you the quote directly just so I don't misquote anything. Tim Anderson, in that article 3 years ago, was quoted as saying, "I kind of feel like today's Jackie Robinson because he changed the game, and I feel like I'm getting to a point where I need to change the game."
Interesting. So he compared himself
So
at that
he
time.
compared himself to Jackie Robinson. This was not completely out of the blue.
So
and Josh
as-
Donaldson,
Just
when
really quick for anybody who isn't following this necessarily, he is black, correct?
yes, Tim Anderson is black, and Josh Donaldson, who is kind of the subject of this controversy, is white.
Okay.
So it wasn't completely out of the blue. And when being interviewed about it after the game and after this whole weekend series with the Yankees, between the Yankees and the White Sox, Donaldson said that he and Anderson have joked about it before.
Okay.
Anderson has not commented on that fact.
All right.
Now, immediately after the game, Tony La Russa, who's the manager of the White Sox, came out and called the comment racist,
It's wild.
as did Tim Anderson, as did White Sox closer Liam Hendricks. Aaron Boone, who's the manager of the Yankees, even came out and said, "I'm not so sure where I stand on it, but I don't think he should have said it."
Yeah.
Okay.
What are
Keep
your
in mind-
feelings on it?
So keep in mind that the series between the White Sox and the Yankees, I'll get there in a second.
I put
heard
him
you,
in the most uncomfortable situation.
and I knew you would, so I have an answer prepared. I just wanted to
Perfect.
finish my thought.
All right.
The entire weekend series between the White Sox and the Yankees was heated. There were some rough plays. There was some jawing back and forth. So I think this was kind of just a culmination of all of that, and emotions bubbled over, and you had Donaldson make a comment that he thought was harmless and referring back to an interview that Anderson gave himself. And it just was taken the wrong way. And now to answer your question, I'm not in a position to tell Tim Anderson whether it's racist or not. As a white man, I cannot say whether it is or isn't racist. My opinion is that it isn't. I think it was harmless. And my question to Tim Anderson is if Josh Donaldson comes out and says, "Oh, we've joked about it in the past. Why haven't you said anything in response to that yet?" That's kind of where I'm a little in between on it. If you had come out and said, "Yeah, we've joked about it. I just wasn't really in the mood for it that day and I took it the wrong way," that's one thing. Or if you had come out and said, "No, he's lying. We've never talked about it."
Yeah.
That's another thing. But we haven't heard anything from Tim Anderson yet as to whether that's true or not. And in that case, I don't think there's any offense that's premeditated or warranted. The other part of it for me is that if you've already compared yourself to Jackie Robinson, and we know how important he is to baseball history, how is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
That's my other question: is why is you being compared to Jackie Robinson a racist thing?
Yeah.
Jackie Robinson is one of the most storied players in baseball history, maybe even in sports history. He's the only player whose number was retired across the entire sport.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my point of view on it is it's obviously not as black and white or simple, but it's three-part. Like, one, you open the door by, like, comparing yourself to Jackie, right? So that's one. Two, I'm going to just go ahead and assume that it's not being put out there if it's untrue that they've joked about it before. You don't get to give a pass and then take it away when it's convenient to you. So that's part two. And this might be 4 parts. Then part 3 is, like, intent is the most important thing here. And I don't think any of us thought that it was meant in a malicious or racist way. It just seems like it's something easy to pull back on. And then 4, like, controversy in baseball and scrums in baseball is always great to me. And I didn't see anything malicious in terms of racism, so I love it. I love the story. I love all of
Now,
it.
I do
I
wanna
have a weird.
jump in.
Can I just?
Yeah.
I haven't made a point on this yet.
Sure.
I just have a weird point. Okay. My question is, why even do it? Like, I'm not saying don't draw attention to the fact that maybe you think it's your job to now change the game.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah.
Say that. Say, I think it's on my shoulders a little bit to help change the game here. You can do that without calling yourself the new Jackie Robinson.
Yes, but culturally, to answer your question, I think culturally that's a thing.
Okay.
Like, people like to compare themselves to, like, I am the new Muhammad Ali.
Right.
I am the new this guy. And I think they look at not necessarily what those guys went through at a certain time or something. They're just looking at what the outcome was. So, like, revered for changing the game, not necessarily putting pressure on themselves in terms of, like, what the implications, what he had to deal with and stuff like that. So I think it's just a piece where they're like, they're taking a chance to boast, and it's the biggest name that they can think of and tie to it, and they're not thinking it all through. If I had to guess.
The other thing I want to add to this, and this actually was just announced while you guys were doing the first part of the podcast, that Josh Donaldson actually has been suspended 1 game and fined an undisclosed amount by Major League Baseball,
Yeah.
which I wholeheartedly disagree with.
So I disagree.
It's a really strange reaction.
It is a really strange reaction.
Why not just let people talk about this? Why not just let people have a conversation? You have to immediately reprimand someone?
Because the media giant is what it is,
But I think this only makes it worse.
I-
I think this is bad press for the league, and I know that you could always throw in the any press is good press.
It might be for baseball right
For
now.
baseball,
Yeah.
it might be, but I think there are other ways you could go about this. I don't think the
Yeah.
league had to get involved in this at all.
I think the league probably did have to get involved and to play it on the safer side in regards to, like, get rid of him for a game and then, like, deal with the repercussions after, because then the league is on the right side of history. Like, if a guy gets suspended and for something that people don't think he should have gotten suspended for, and it's 1 game or 2 games, like, they're not going to kill the league for years over it.
Right, they
if
kind of
don't-
mitigated it.
Correct. They're choosing the lesser of two
Okay,
evils.
they went the safe way.
Yes. Now, if there was fines and stuff like that, I hope that comes out of the team's pocket, or they find some way to go around it and donate it to charity or whatever it is. Like, I hope that he doesn't actually deal with, like, the brunt of that. But I do think it's, like, a good thing that the league does to be on the safe side.
All right, so
for the league.
this was a really good subject. It was really awesome. We do have to move on,
yeah,
though,
we are
'cause we're a
hurting for
little
time.
pressed for time. So, Rob, we got to do your annual New York or L.A.
This was the closest week we've had,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm still going with New York.
Okay.
It's getting close, though.
It is getting real close. So last week, the New York teams combined went 9-5. The LA teams went 8-5. So it's getting real close. In the power rankings, the Yankees are 1, the Dodgers are 2, same as last week. The Mets slid down a spot from 3 to 4, and the Angels slid down 2 spots from 5 to 7.
So basically, they it was very close, but they didn't do enough work yet to make up that difference.
And the only reason I think I'm taking New York this week is because of the upcoming matchups. This week, the Yankees have 3 games against Baltimore and 4 games against Tampa Bay.
Hold on real quick. What up, WrestleManiac? Sorry.
What up, Wrestling
Love
Maniac?
Wrestling Maniac.
Yep.
So the Yankees have 3 at home against Baltimore and 4 on the road in Tampa Bay. The Mets have 3 in San Francisco and then 3 at home against the Phillies. The Angels are home this entire week, but against Texas and Toronto. Toronto is a very formidable team. And then the Dodgers are away in Washington for 3 and then away in Arizona for 4. So I think the matchups this coming week favor New York heavily, considering that the Dodgers have to go from Washington straight to Arizona and play the next day with the time difference.
Yeah, bold prediction time. I'm going to just go ahead and say that next week it'll be L.A.
It could be.
New York's due for a dip.
Yeah, they are, and I think we're going to start to see it this week. But we are a little hurting for time. So
you had some trivia that you wanted to give Rob and test his Mets fandom.
Yeah, so
let's go.
I wanted to start off a little small with the Mets stuff this week. So the number retired, and I think it was the first number retired by the Mets, was a manager.
Yep.
Name that manager.
Gil Hodges. No. It was Casey Stengel.
It was Casey Stengel.
I got to give him that.
It was Casey Stengel.
You want the number 2?
Yeah.
Give me the number.
It's 37.
And he is correct.
This next one.
Gil Hodges also had his number retired, and it was 14.
Jeez.
Okay. Well. All right.
So this next one is tough, and it's quirky, and this one is about the Dodgers.
All right. Hit me.
So in 1888, 7 newlyweds left the AL to go play for this NL team. That team is now known as the Dodgers. What team name did the Dodgers play under in 1890? This is a fun one.
This is a little roundabout.
This is a fun one
It is roundabout.
because it only lasted for maybe 2 years.
I thought we were
this
testing
team
his
name.
Mets fandom. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do one Mets and one
Gotcha.
LA team.
Gotcha.
Just to throw it out
okay,
there.
okay.
Kind of a quirky one every week to give people a little something funny.
All right,
to think
Dodgers in
about.
1890.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
This is a tough one.
And it's a very interesting one. I'm curious if anybody has ever looked up this fun fact.
Anybody who knows it on TikTok, by the way, you can type it in and Rob cannot see it.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't see the
Correct.
TikTok chat. I'm gonna take a few more seconds to think. I don't want to hold us up from our next segment, but
So
10,
in 1890, they
9,
played under this name.
8, 7, 6, 5.
are they the New York Pilgrims?
Nope, they are not. And
No.
WrestleManiac actually got it right. They were the Brooklyn Bridegrooms. Yes.
I would not have gotten that. So,
Newlyweds.
so the
Very
new,
good.
You gotcha. So
Yeah,
the
so-
newlyweds.
so that is
was
a-
the hint.
Yes.
I like that. The
Okay.
bridegrooms.
Yeah, so that was a nice little
Wow.
fun one.
All right.
So,
The Brooklyn Bridegrooms.
Yes.
I'll remember
Nice.
that.
Yeah,
So,
that's great trivia.
So really quick, I just want to run through
Yeah.
F1. Leclerc not finishing in Spain.
Tough.
Really
break
tough.
for him.
I think one of the bigger stories actually is Perez being told to move over from Max Verstappen. Now we know that this is going to happen, and
Yeah.
know when you're a clear number 2 on a team. Okay,
Yeah.
Perez knows he's a clear number 2. Now, if you're someone like, let's say, Carlos Sainz, right, and when you got signed by Ferrari. I do believe that when Leclerc and Ferrari had a meeting with Carlos Sainz, I do not think that they established a 1 and 2. I think they said, guys, this is
agree.
up in the air. You guys are both kids.
You're gonna
Go
race
out
for
there,
it."
show me what you got.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that if they were in this type of situation, that Ferrari might have let them race. But because it's Red Bull, because Perez is a clear number 2, you have to move over. Okay.
I agree.
This is, I think, one of the major detriments of this sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem is like there's always going to be a pecking order. So like how is there a way to change this? Is there a way to
The only way to change this is if you're Christian Horner or your whatever manager is in charge, you go, you know what? You've earned your spot. We brought you in here to race. Brought you in here to race.
Yeah, but
You
the
guys
problem
go
is,
race.
Money controls everything.
You're absolutely right.
And for those listening at home who don't know why these things happen in Formula One, it's that you have 2 championships that you're chasing after. The Drivers' Championship, which is based on individual drivers scoring points based on position finishing each race. And you also have the Constructors' Championship, which is total team points. So if the higher up you finish in the Drivers' Championship, the more money you're going to get from sponsors, from the FIA, from pretty much anything, donors. So Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez are the racers for Red Bull, and Max Verstappen, since he won the race yesterday, took over the lead in the Drivers' Championship. Okay. So it was a very tactical move by Christian Horner, who's the principal of Red Bull Racing. Right. That's the purpose of it, to get Max Verstappen as many points as possible, so that he can take the lead in the Drivers' Championship, so that Red Bull ultimately has better hopes of winning and bringing in more money.
And Odd Rips is saying, look, or he's saying, what? It's a team. Is that a question?
No,
are you saying
I think
it's a team?
He's saying it's a team. And then I think WrestleManiac is saying the same thing, saying, it's a team. And so, how does this necessarily differ? Because, if you're, for example, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, right? If one guy goes off and a guy defers to him and says this is your time to go off, you're the clear number one,
right?
We don't if a guy put up a stink about that, we would say he's a bad teammate, all of that stuff, because it's about the team victory. But it's weird because in this sport, racers place individually, even though they're as part of a team.
That's right.
And that's where it gets a little weird for me as well. It's how much are you sacrificing individually for the team when you both place individually?
Right, and don't get it twisted. Mm-hmm. This isn't you win as a team and then one of you may be the MVP or not. Yeah. It's not like that. These are two completely different, separate competitions. There's a Drivers' Championship and a Constructors' Championship. So the teams and the individual drivers. So this means a lot to win that Constructors' Championship. It's huge. I understand that when you sign on for a team that you're signing on for a specific role. Yeah. Okay? I do understand that. At the end of the day, though, that's gotta hurt. It's gotta hurt. When you end up in that number 2 spot, it sucks.
And hats off to Checo for playing that part. Really, it takes a lot of willpower.
You couldn't ask for a better guy to do it.
You couldn't. Okay. Absolutely not. And ultimately, there was a point where Perez was leading the race and Verstappen was in second. So they finished 1 and 2.
Yeah. So no harm, no foul there.
They gained the same points for the Drivers' Championship, but the advantage of having Max win is that now he brings in a few extra points towards the Drivers' Championship.
That's right. He's the more marketable guy.
So, he's
not just the more marketable guy, but he's the guy who takes the lead now in the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, and so he's their
over
ace.
Charles Leclerc.
Now, as a novice, there's a lot of talk about a lot of people moving teams, a lot of switching up that seems to be coming in the next year or two. If you're Sergio, does this do anything for you in regards to maybe he wants to be the number one guy? And you're not passing Verstappen in terms of marketability and just being the ace. Could this possibly lead to something? Like I said, I'm a novice, so I don't know how these personalities work and stuff, but could this lead to him saying, I want my own team? I want to be the number one guy.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
It absolutely
and he can leave and he can go to a lower ranked team and be the top guy. You'll just be in not as good of a car maybe.
So is that how it would happen? Because there are there teams that they have great cars, but they don't necessarily have the best drivers, or situations
sometimes
like that.
Sometimes. Yeah. But it
certainly does.
It depends
happen
on
that way occasionally.
on a lot of different things. It sucks because I would love to really go into this, but we are out of time, guys. We do have to wrap it up.
I do want to say real quick before we wrap it up. The other big headline that came out of this weekend for me was Lewis Hamilton. After bumping into Kevin Magnussen on the first lap and falling down to 19th place and radioing to the pit crew, just save the engine guys, and then finishing 6th.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Kind of big
Hats off to him.
Yeah,
he's a legend, and he raced his ass off.
Guys, thank you so much for coming by. Oh, Bird needs something to say.
Teddy, quick question for you. It's not on the topics today, but it's first news in the playoffs about your Lakers. Juwan Howard turned down the coaching offer. Yeah. News it or lose it?
News it. I think that shows that the front office has a lot of question marks and that people aren't necessarily believing in them. But I don't like them potentially looking at Doc Rivers either. Bring back Mark Jackson.
It's absolutely news it. It shows that nobody even wants to coach those 3 bums.
Well, we win championships. So.
Peace out.
And with
And
that,
that'll do it.
guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Fresh Sports Hour. Bert, Certified T, Responsible Rob, I'm Tony Rotten. We will see you guys here next week, same